Hi everybody. We're going to do something a little bit different here on the Stop the Hate series today. I'd like to be a little bit more intimate with you than I usually am. So, I'm going to show you my dick. Whoop. Sorry, having a hard time getting him up right now. Hang on, here we go. There he is. This is my teddy bear. His name is Dick. I didn't name him. What are you looking at me for? Okay. So Dick is about the oldest friend that I've got. I've had him, let's see, I was born on January 9th, 1980. Dick was given to me for my first Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1980. So, with the exception of about 6 weeks, about 5 weeks of my life, I've never been without him. Anywhere I've lived, anywhere, ever. He's always accompanied me to every new home I've ever had. I'm a 32-year-old man. What am I doing with a teddy bear in my room? He sits over, you can't see it, but on the DVD shelves on this side is where he sits. Why wasn't he put in a garage sale decades ago? Why wasn't he thrown in the trash? Why isn't he in a box somewhere? 32 years of friendship and I'm going to stick him in a box? What kind of friend are you? Fact of the matter is, we're about to do a trilogy here on Stop the Hate. A trilogy of videos. We're going to talk about our childhoods and why they shouldn't have to end. You know, they say that there's a time to set childhood things aside and grow up and become adults. Why? Why would you do that? What's your fucking problem? God! If you come to this site, you're a big kid. We review movies here. We review video games. We talk about comics. This is not, occasionally we'll talk about something serious. Politics will come up, religion, whatever. We're here to play in the sandbox. That's what we're here to do. And I couldn't get rid of this guy. This is my oldest friend. I mean, he's as much a part of me in some ways as anybody, any friend I've ever had. And I think that the idea of growing up is tempting to a lot of people because then they get to look down on people like me, people like you. How many guys out there have had a girlfriend who have said to them, why do you play video games? Those are for kids. How many of you have had boyfriends who you've got dolls, if you're a girl, well, if you're a guy too, whatever. You've got dolls or you've got stuffed animals or whatever, and they look at you and like, what do you got all these stuffed animals for? You're a grown woman. Childhood is not something that should have to end the way that it used to. It used to be that I think people forced their childhoods to end because their circumstances were so dire. You grew up and you didn't have time for anything but working in the coal mine, going down, down, down. And you came home, you had 15 kids and they were all starving. One of them's dying of malaria in the corner. You pretty much got to nut up and, accept that your life is over, essentially, and that all you get to do for the rest of your life is provide and hopefully not die an early death. And that just isn't the world we live in anymore. For as bad as things can be sometimes, essentially right now we live in a pretty cozy time. And there are some drawbacks to that. I think I've discussed a lot of them in Stop the Hate. One of the upsides, though, is that we don't fucking have to grow up. Not the way we used to. I've got 3 kids. I take care of my kids, okay? If I choose after I cook dinner and we eat as a family to come into my room and chill out for 20 minutes playing a video game, there's nothing wrong with that. If I choose to have a Superman poster on my wall, and believe me, you've only seen a fraction of this room. This is my geek cave, okay? I got my comic books over there. I've got a Chewbacca statue right over there. Behind me, there's the PlayStation and, my video games. And, there's little action figures all over the place. I've got a Batman bank right here on my desk. Why? Because I like Batman. And I got to put my money somewhere. Why wouldn't I put them in a Batman bank, So this trilogy I was talking about, we're going to talk about 2 childish things and why they are no longer childish things. Because in this new world, we have turned them into art forms. We're going to talk about video games in depth next week, and then the week after that, we're going to talk about comic books. General, I'll get into some specifics, my favorite games, my favorite comics, but these are going to be pretty general, pretty overall looking at these art forms and proving that they are art forms. But right now, we're going to talk about my dick. I'm going to be serious with you guys. This is going to make maybe some of you laugh, but this is actually one of my concerns that I have, when I think about dying. I think about dick. I think about when I die, what's going to happen to him? Where's he going to go? I can pass him on to my kids, and I think my kids would they know how much he means to me. And they would value him, and they'd keep him. But he wouldn't mean the same thing to them. The best that he could hope for is, maybe one of them would stick him on a shelf, but more likely he'd be put in a box somewhere. But, even if my kids do value him, my grandkids aren't likely to. Because as generations pass, how many of you know the names of your great-great-great-grandparents? How many of you can tell me, how far back can you tell me all about who they were? And how far back would you even give a shit? Really, we don't care, is the thing. I have a lot of pride in my family history. I can date it back. I could tell you names and stuff, but I don't know those people, and anything that was passed down to me from them, if it was something cool, if it was something, interesting, then I'd probably keep it. But otherwise, I don't have any sentimental thoughts about those people, so it's not like I'm going to keep their crap lying around my house. So at some point, my friend here will end up where? The trash? Gonna, be in maybe in a box somewhere, or that'll eventually get given a Goodwill, or, ripped apart by my great-great-grandkid. It'll be like, their dad will say, this was your great-great-grandfather's, and they're not going to give a shit. They'll rip his head off and, tear him to pieces, because that's what little kids do. So what do I do with him? When I'm cremated, does he go in the coffin with me? It's been a thought of mine. Because I can't stand the thought of him not being valued. not being treasured the way that I treasure him. If there was a fire in my house, I'm not leaving without him. I would go through the fucking flames to get him. Okay, that's how much he means to me. And that may sound silly to a lot of you. You know, well, he's a teddy bear. You're a grown man. Yeah, but you know what? What about you? What about you? What would you... What thing could you not live without because it means so much to you? Whether it's a photo, whether it's, you know, a letter from somebody that meant something to you, or an autograph that you once got, or whatever, you know, something that you treasure that a lot of people will say, well, it's just a thing. I don't see that as that. I don't see it as, well, it's just a thing. I see it as if you love something, if it means something to you, then it's not just a thing anymore. It's something important. It's something of value. And, you know, just because you're grown up doesn't mean that those things that were so important to you as a kid have to be discarded from your life, thrown out. You know, take your Skeletor action figure, or your Malibu Barbie, or your lightsaber. Treasure them. If they mean something to you, keep them. If there's something that you want to see every day, if there's something that when you wake up, you want them there, put them out. Put them on your shelf. Put them on your, you know, on display in your home. I don't give a good goddamn how much trouble you've gone to make your house look sophisticated. How much money you spent on furniture and art and decorators. If you don't have room in your home for something that means something to you, if you're just going to decorate it so that people can be impressed when they come over to your house, if that's all that matters to you, you're living a hollow, shallow existence. No matter where I am in my life, from this point on to the day I die, Dick here is always going to be around. He's always going to be somewhere where all I got to do is turn my head and there he'll be. Because he means something to me. He is a part of my childhood. He got me through my childhood in a lot of ways. I mean, I did not have an easy childhood. And having a friend there all the time was vital. Was vital to me making it through my childhood. And you know, you can't have a friend there all the time when it's your best friend at school, when it's, you know, or even a, you know, brother or sister. You know, they can't be there all the time. They can't sleep in the same bed with you. Dick here could. He was there for me when nobody else was. And again, I know that sounds silly. A lot of you say, well, it's a teddy bear. It's a thing. I don't see it as such. I see it as this right here is as good a friend as I've ever had. And what is a friend other than somebody who's there for you? You know? So we're going to do this trilogy. We're going to look at these things, these childish things, and we're going to prove why they're of value in this day and age. We're going to prove why they matter. They're important. They are as important. Having, you know, a copy of Watchmen on your bookshelf is just as important as having a copy of anything by Shakespeare. Having Uncharted on your shelf is as important as having Citizen Kane. Okay? And we're going to talk about it. We're going to examine why. Just because you're a grown-up doesn't mean your childhood has to end.